Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen and I'm here with Neil from Tin Man Games. Can you tell us a little bit about what Tin Man does?
Okay, so we're an indie dev company based in Melbourne, and we're currently developing apps for the iPhone, iPod Touch and iPad. Most specifically, a series of interactive game books called Game Book Adventures.
So for those of us who aren't familiar, what is a game book adventure?
Okay, so basically Game Book Adventures is kind of like, a lot of people remember Choose Your Own Adventure, which were kind of big in the 80s, back end of the 70s, early 80s.
Oh, you're making me feel really old.
Yeah, so I used to read them, so I'm definitely old. And there was also a series of game books that were big in the UK. I think they came to Australia quite a bit. I know they didn't make America so big, called Fighting Fantasy, and there was another series called Lone Wolf, and there was another series called Grail Quest. And they were kind of like Choose Your Own Adventure, but with early kind of RPG, so it was kind of D&D thrown in on top of a Choose Your Own Adventure. So Game Book Adventures is essentially, we're kind of following more to the roots of the Fighting Fantasy, Lone Wolf-esque types of Choose Your Own Adventure books.
So there's, you read a story, you get to a crucial point in the story, and then there's dice rolling?
Yeah, so essentially you've got a lot of sections. So just an old Choose Your Own Adventure book would probably be about 100 sections long-ish. Like our latest book comes in at about 800 sections. So they're kind of big, so you'll get to a section and it'll give you a number of choices, sometimes 2, 3, 4, sometimes as many as 7 or 8, depending on what they are. And you make a decision, and then it goes off down the next narrative of the story. And then every now and again, you'll meet some horrible creature or person that you choose to fight, and then we have, at the very beginning of the game book, you will actually create a character. So you'll have some stats you create, vitality, fitness, and then those stats are used in this kind of mini battle section. And I kind of call it D&D light. It's kind of, because we're a casual game, so we don't want anything too heavy, because if people are going to be reading this at night in bed, they don't want to be having to struggle with lots of stats and things.
Yeah.
So the important thing is the book interactive experience with the kind of combat-y dice rolling bit on top of there.
So how many are you up to now?
So we've got 5 out on the App Store now. The 5th one came out a few weeks ago. Book 6 will be out in a few weeks' time, when we can pull our finger out and get it finished. We've still got a bit of testing to do on that. And then we've got Book 7, which we announced at PAX East, and that's coming out probably by about the middle of the year. And then we've also got Books 8, 9, 10 in development right now. 11, 12, 13 and upwards are all in pre-development, and I've just been contacted by a load of writers that want to write for us, so we could be over 20 by the beginning of next year, which boggles the mind really. But
that's not bad. So you were at PAX, how did you find that?
Tiring. It was good. 3 intensive days we had a little booth that we hired. We kind of went on our own, set up this booth and stood there for 3 days just talking to people, journalists and fans and people that hadn't heard of us before, and it was really good. We got quite a good response. The fans that we've already got came up to us and said some really nice things, and the people that hadn't heard of us before, after we'd done our spiel and sold them it, they went away kind of on their iPhones downloading it, so that was all good.
Excellent.
So it went down really well.
Fabulous. So can you tell us about this new one that you've announced while you're at PAX?
Okay, yeah, so Game Book 7, it's called Temple of the Spider God. It's kind of like I guess an adventure set in kind of Aztec Incan jungles with temples and big spiders. And it's there's some slight rule changes that are different, but the most important thing is the writer, and the writer is a guy called Jonathan Green. And Jonathan Green, to game book fans, is probably quite a well-known writer, but if you don't know anything about him, he's a guy that's written the last 7 Fighting Fantasy books, because Fighting Fantasy has been ongoing, and they've actually published proper books, and Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone don't actually write for them anymore because they're off doing other things. So Jonathan Green was the last writer, and he got in contact with us a number of months ago and said...
So he actually approached you?
He did, yeah.
Wow.
And said, hey guys, I love what you're doing. can I write a story for you? And we were like, yeah.
Oh, if you have to.
Yeah. Well, I was a kid. I used to read these things as a kid, and so to have one of the writers on the series that inspired all this to start writing for us is kind of cool. So.
Awesome. So if someone considers themselves to be a bit of a writer, how would they get in touch with you? What would they have to do to write a game book?
Oh, wow. Where do you start with that? It's best to have had some experience writing a game book, because writing a normal story is hard enough, maintaining a linear narrative. But when you've got a sort of multiple narratives going on, keeping control of all that, and making sure that the reader, every single reader is going to go down a different path, but every single reader needs to have the identical same experience, as in it needs to be fun for them. So maintaining that level of quality through all the different possible strands of the story is kind of tough. So you need to have a bit of experience.
And some sort of weird, twisted mind that can handle 800 different spaces at once.
You should see, we have like game flow graphs where we have little sort of bubbles with numbers in for each section all connecting up, and it gets pretty mad. And when I'm testing and editing a game book, I kind of have to know that game book really well, because I'm kind of in that headspace.
So while everyone else is trying to remember what exactly they did to get to that point, you need to try and forget what you did to get to that point and try something to get somewhere else.
Yeah, and go back on your side and just keep doing this all the time.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.